This is the I Don't Want a Divorce podcast with Dr. David Clarke, episode number 2. I am launching a series of podcasts on living with an abusive partner. These podcasts are based on my new book, Enough is Enough: How to Leave an Abusive Relationship. You can tell by my book's title how I feel about abuse. It's the same way God feels about abuse. It's time to leave your abuser, and I'm going to help you do just that. Many pastors, church leaders, and even Christian counselors don't take my position on abuse. These well-meaning but clueless persons want you to stay with your abuser. I say just the opposite. Get out. Now, it will take time to get out. You're not leaving today, next week, or next month. It may take 6 months, up to a year perhaps, to leave, but you need to leave. God wants you to leave. These podcasts and my Enough is Enough book will get you and your kids ready to leave your abuser. I will be talking to you as if you are married to an abuser. You could be living with an abuser or dating one. Your abuser could be a man or a woman. The principles remain the same. If you're not in an abusive relationship, you know someone who is. So you can recommend these podcasts and the book to them. I begin with a definition of abuse. I want you to know exactly what I'm talking about. Here's my definition of abuse. It is a pattern of narcissistic, disrespectful, and harmful behavior exhibited by one person in an intimate relationship. Let's take a closer look at each of the elements in this definition as I build a profile of your abuser. First of all, it's a pattern. I'm not talking about one or two incidents of abusive behavior. I'm not talking about a decent, loving spouse who is guilty of the occasional insensitive action. I'm not talking about a man who has seriously sinned but has confessed, repented, is in recovery, and has helped you heal from what he did to you. I'm talking about a dirtball who abuses you on a regular basis. He started abusing you early in your relationship and has continued to abuse you. He shows no signs of stopping. That's because he's not going to stop. Now, the abuse might not be every day or even every week, but it is on a regular basis. For example, a man who blows up in rage, a rageaholic, could do that 3 or 4 times a year. You know what? That's abuse. It's enough. Second, the behavior is narcissistic. Most abusers are narcissists. A narcissist is a spectacularly selfish individual. Super selfish, world-class selfish. Everything he thinks, feels, and does focuses on one goal: to protect and please himself. The truth is, your husband doesn't love you. He has feelings for you, as particularly when you are meeting his needs, but he is incapable of loving anyone but himself. He will not meet your needs. Your needs don't even register on his radar screen. When he does something nice for you, it is for the purpose of getting something from you. He believes all others, especially you, exist to serve him and meet his needs. It is always and forever about him. He is always the smartest and best-looking person in the room. He craves attention and approval and has to be in the limelight. He is convinced that you should spend every waking minute being unbelievably grateful that you are married to him. Every decision he makes is based on what will make him look good, what will make him happy, and what is best for him. For example, he makes money and spends it the way he wants to spend it. You, however, must get his permission to spend money on things you want. He lives in a universe of one. I want, I need, I desire, I think, I. He is also disrespectful. Your abuser has zero respect for you as a person. He doesn't notice or acknowledge boundaries in your relationship. He consistently crosses the line to mistreat you. His lack of a conscience is what drives his disrespectful behavior. He doesn't feel guilt or shame like normal people do when he hurts you. He may say he's sorry, but it's only words. He usually gets angry with you if you have the nerve to bring up one of his hurtful actions. He has no empathy. He has no capacity for compassion. He could care less about your feelings. When he says or does something that deeply hurts you, he won't allow you to vent your pain on him. He'll say, I said I was sorry. Let it go. You need to forgive me so we can move on. It's always move on for the abuser. He will focus on your lack of forgiveness, not his damaging behavior that caused the problem in the first place. If he admits his negative behavior, he will often inform you it was your fault anyway. Nothing is ever his fault. It is always someone else's fault. Perfect persons don't make mistakes, and he believes he's perfect. The very idea of his changing is ludicrous to him, because one doesn't need to change when one is perfect. You are the one who is wrong. You are the one who needs to change. He expects you to keep trying to be the best wife you can be, and he will try to tolerate your shortcomings. In his eyes, you'll never be good enough. That's how the game is played. His behavior is also harmful. Your abuser's behavior is doing you harm, serious, debilitating harm. You've learned to live with it, but his abuse is not only blocking any joy in your life, it is destroying you. It's a form of never-ending torture. You are being broken down day by day, month by month, year by year, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You will reach the point, if you haven't already, where you don't even recognize yourself anymore. I have had client after client after client, mostly women, who, when they get away from their abusive men, are incredibly relieved, they're emotionally healthier, their physical symptoms go away, and they're healthy for the first time in a long time. You are allowing him to take your self-worth, your identity, your sense of value as a person, your feelings of dignity. Pretty soon there will be nothing left of you. You're not living, you're surviving, barely surviving. Abuse happens in an intimate relationship. Abuse does the greatest damage in a romantic relationship, in a marriage, in living together, or in a dating relationship. When you love someone and consider him to be the most important person in your life, he can hurt you as no one else can. Because you desperately want your relationship to work and you are the only one trying to make it work, you are wide open and vulnerable. Your weaknesses and soft spots are completely exposed to him. He knows exactly how to make you hurt, and that is what he does over and over and over again. Now, typically, your abuser does not show his narcissism, disrespect, and harmful behavior in public. He's too smart for that. It's important to him to look like an awesome person to others. So others love him, think he's the greatest guy in the world. You know better. You know what's going on behind the curtain. Now, let's move to what abuse actually looks like. I'm going to read a series of categories here, and it's as if I'm your abuser and I'm talking to you, even though abusers don't talk this way. If they were actually honest, here's what they'd say. I verbally abuse you. I'm highly critical of you, especially when you don't meet my expectations, and you rarely meet my expectations. I mock you and belittle you for your shortcomings. I attack you personally for your weight, your parenting, your housekeeping, and any area in which you or your actions are unacceptable to me. Sarcasm is my second language. I neglect your needs. The truth is, I'm aware of my needs only. If you would meet my needs, then I would meet yours. Too bad you never fully meet my needs, so you're on your own. It is all about me, and don't forget it. I refuse to communicate. I don't like to feel vulnerable, so I don't share my feelings or talk on a personal level, and I never will. Feel free to share your thoughts and feelings and thoughts with me, though I won't be listening. If you rattle on too long or press me to open up and talk, I'll end the conversation by snapping at you or walking away. I give you the silent treatment. When you do or say something that upsets me, I shut down and ignore you. I also use this technique every time you have the nerve to tell me about a hurt that I caused you. I can stay silent for days and weeks, even months. I'm punishing you and teaching you never to upset me. I stayed too close to my family. My mommy and daddy and siblings mean the world to me. They are much more important than you are on my priority list. I don't set boundaries for them. I do whatever it takes to please them. I listen to and follow their advice without consulting you. I allow them to mistreat you, and I do nothing to stop it. I control you. I control every area of your life. Your contact with your family, your friends, where you go and who you spend time with, your activities, how much of my money, and it's all my money, you can spend and what you spend it on, your clothes, the church we attend, how you parent. Since I'm a lot smarter than you, this control makes sense. If you resist, you're not being submissive. I'm financially irresponsible. I spend too much money. I make bad investments. I don't pay our taxes on time. I'm very secretive about money, and I lie about how I use it. You don't know this, but I'm not saving any money for our retirement. I'm a lazy slacker. I don't like to work, so I avoid it as much as I can. I go from job to job and have long stretches of unemployment. For some reason, I can't seem to get along with management. I want you to have a career and shoulder the financial burden for our family. One day, you'll see, I may get a steady job and help support you and the kids. But then again, probably not. I have anger outbursts. My tolerance for frustration is quite low, and often, unpredictably, I blow up. If I'm having a bad day, you're going to have a bad day. I take my stress out on you. I raise my voice, I use profanity, I throw things, and I do property damage. I am violent. Now, not all abusers are violent, but some are. When I get angry, I have to hit someone. Since you are the one who usually gets me angry, I hit you. I slap you, punch you, choke you, pin you down, and whatever else I feel like doing in my rage. The best part is it's your fault. Just don't provoke me, and I won't hit you. I'm a workaholic. I love my career more than I love you. It gets the best part of me every day, my time, my attention, and my passion. I work way too many hours. I tell you it's for you and the kids. It's actually just for me. I am an alcoholic. I love the drink, and I'm not going to stop drinking. It makes me feel good and helps me escape the stresses of life. I hide my drinking, and I lie about it. My drinking ruins just about every party, vacation, and special occasion, and a lot of days and weekends in between. Well, it ruins these days for you. I'm fine with it. I am a drug addict. Even though I'm an adult, I still smoke pot. I may also use other illegal drugs. They give me a rush. If I don't use illegal drugs, I am addicted to prescription drugs. I'll do the occasional rehab, but I'm not stopping. I have sexual issues. I need sex, a lot of sex. So I pressure you for it all the time. I don't want or need an emotional or physical connection with you. I just want sex. Or I'm on the opposite side of sexual desire, and I refuse to be physically intimate with you. You beg and plead and cry, but I reject you. I'm getting my sexual pleasure other places. I am a sexual sinner. I like porn, and I watch it whenever I can. It's so easy to access, and it's not hurting anyone. Oh, except for you. And I don't care about you. I have emotional affairs with coworkers, neighbors, and Facebook friends. I may also have had physical affairs. Hey, I have sexual needs, and since you won't meet them, what choice do I have? I blame you for everything. It's never my fault. It's always your fault. Whenever there's tension or conflict in our relationship, it's your fault. Whenever I'm upset, and I'm upset a lot, it's your fault. I blame others too, but eventually I'll get around to blaming you. Now, abusers don't talk this way, of course, but if they did, no one would ever date them or marry them. They're all about looking good, and saying these things out loud would not make them look good. Now, your abuser is not going to be guilty of every one of these categories, but I'll bet that your abuser is guilty and involved in a number of these categories. In my next podcast, I will discuss what many church leaders say about abuse and what the Bible says about abuse. I'm going to show you biblically why it is okay to leave your abuser, not to divorce, but to separate.
Hey, thanks again for joining us here today on the I Don't Want a Divorce podcast with Dr. David Clarke. If you enjoyed this podcast, it would really help us out if you could please share it on social media with your friends. And if you could head on over to iTunes and leave a review and to let us know what you think of the show, that would be awesome. Thanks for listening.